Hi, I'm Stuart. Welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back. Thanks for viewing my video. In this video, I'm going to do two tags. I'm going to do the 20 questions Booktube tag and the missing questions tag. First, the 20 questions Booktube tag. I was tagged by Gavin at Genre Books 23 per Gavin. A tag created by At the Active Mind 1. There are 20 questions in this tag. Question 1. How many books is too many books in a series? It really depends on the series. The longest series I ever read was the Sisters of the Otherworld series by Yasmin Galenorn. It was 21 books long in the main series, and there were some short stories. And I enjoyed the whole series. Now, in practical terms, though, the author started traditionally published with a lot of sales, but as the series went along, the sales dropped, and she had to self-publish, independently publish, to finish the series. So even though I liked the whole series, her readership dropped drastically as the series went along. So, just to pick a number, I'm going to pick the number 5. And part of the consideration for that is I think when it's called a series, it probably has to be more than 3 because 3 is a trilogy. And I think 5 is maybe a good medium number. Beyond that, people might start losing interest. So just to pick a number with a little bit of thinking behind it, I'm going to say 5 is probably the longest length a series should be. 6 might be too many. Question 2. How do you feel about cliffhangers? I like cliffhangers. Of course, as long as there's going to be another book. If there's a cliffhanger in the hanger, there's not another book, then I don't like them. Question 3. Hardcover or paperback? Paperback because they're just easier to read. Hardcovers have more collectability, but paperbacks are easier to read. Question 4 is favorite book. Picking a sole favorite is not possible for me. One longtime favorite is War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. I've read it 3 times over a widely different period, probably roughly 50 years from the first to the last, maybe even longer. Question 5 is favorite author. It's not possible for me to pick one, but I did want to pick someone that I've read a while back and liked then and still like now, so I'm going to pick Anne Rice. I'm currently reading book 8 of the Vampire Chronicles series, Blood and Gold, and I'm still liking the series. And this after reading the first 4 books many years ago. Ideal book length. Looking at my story graph, I average a little over 300 pages. I'm comfortable with that average, so I'm going to pick 325 pages as a good length for a book. Substantial enough so that the author can get to things in depth, but not super long either. Question 7. Most recent book you couldn't finish? This isn't exactly what this question intends, but most recent book I read that I may not get back to was The Rats by James Herbert. I read 38 pages on June 4, 2025. Haven't picked it up since. It's not a DNF necessarily, but there were some aspects of the book that I didn't like, and I wasn't sure I wanted to pick it up again. 38 pages is maybe not enough to decide, but as I look back to in Storygraph to the books I started and didn't finish, this was the latest one I saw that I'm not sure I'll ever read again. Question 8. Book you're currently reading? There are two, Blood and Gold by Anne Rice and The Wonder Garden by Lauren Acampora. Last book you recommended to someone? Can't remember specific recommendation to anyone. I mean, I talk about books that when I do reviews that in general I say you might like this for this reason, but I can't remember when I recommended a specific book to a specific person. Question 10 is newest book you've read, publication date. That's Beautiful Brutal Bodies by Linda Chang. That came out on November 4, 2025. Didn't realize until I looked to answer this question that I haven't read a 2026 book yet. Kind of a little upsetting to me that I haven't. Question 11 is the oldest book you've read, publication date. This one I don't actually know a publication date, but one I'm going to pick is Cymbeline by William Shakespeare. According to the looking it up online, what I found was the play was produced by 1611. I've read a lot of books that came out in the 1800s, but I have to believe that someone published Cymbeline before the 1800s. There's one or two more Shakespeare plays I read in high school too, but I'm not going to really look into which is really the first that came out. This is certainly one of the earliest books I ever read per publication date, even though I don't know the actual publication date. Q12 is plays or short stories. Short stories. I haven't read many plays, although my answer to the previous question, Cymbeline, is a play. Question 14 is book you just like that everyone else seems to love. Normal People by Sally Rooney. It's not that everyone seems to love, lots of people do. And I didn't love it. I thought it was just okay. Question 15 is bookmarks or dog ears. Bookmarks. I don't believe in dog ear in a book. Question 16 is book you can always reread. That's Dracula by Bram Stoker. I've read it 3 different times over a widely different period. Long period between first and last. Question 17, can you read while hearing music? Yes, but it's not my preference. I like a quiet, as much as possible, reading. Now, I have on many occasions read at the local mall, and they play music over the loudspeakers. If my car's in the shop, they play music over their loudspeakers, and I read there. And it's fine, but it's just not my preference. It's not as hard to read with that as a background as they have morning TV, which I'm not a big fan of. I have trouble tuning that out. Question 18 is one POV or multiple POVs. Forced to choose, I'm going to choose one, although I'm fine with multiple POVs unless it gets too extreme and it becomes hard to follow. Question 19 is, do you read a book in one sitting or over multiple days? I don't ever remember reading a book in one sitting. Usually I'm reading more than one book at once, so all books that I read are over multiple days, and longer than it would be, of course, is if I was just reading one book at a time. The 20th question is tag people. I'll wait until after the second tag that I do in this video before I talk about tagging people. The second tag is the missing questions tag. How did Booktube forget to ask us this? I was tagged in videos by Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading, Pat at Book Chat with Pat, Cliff at Cliff's Dark Gems, Kevin at Kevin Toll Reads, and Renee at Beyond Books. Sue at Sue Jackson DE did this tag. For Kelly, this is such a fun tag. I hope you will all participate by either doing the tag or sharing some of your answers with me in the comment section. If you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, you can leave an emoji or give this video a thumbs up. Thank you. This is a fantastic tag created by Mike at Riff Raff Reads, or Riff Raff's Reading Renaissance. There are 10 prompts in this tag. The first prompt is, do you own a copy of a book that's physically older than you are? Your own copy, not the original book. If more than one, then your favorite, the oldest one you have. Not valuable, just old. There are a couple books I have that I was gifted by my mother. They are Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. There is no copyright date in this book, but this was my grandmother's book, and shows that she went to high school from 1907 to 1911, which is when she had this book initially. I'm assuming it was a book they studied in school. My mother gifted me this book in 1969. And the second book is Idylls of the King by Van Dyke. This book was a book that my grandmother had in high school in 1911. Also, like the first one, gifted to me in 1969. So both of these books were 1911 or earlier. I've not read either of these books. If I chose to, I would not read these copies. They're in pretty good shape and I would be able to read them, but I don't think I'd want to. I haven't actually read any versions of either of these books. Matter of fact, the second one, Idylls of the King by Van Dyke, I never heard of. And there's other books too that my sister and myself have came across when we're doing decluttering. There may be something older than this, I'm not sure, but certainly can't be too many books older than 1911. The second prompt is, what is your favorite kind of Booktube video to watch? Tell us why. Overall, it's tags, because I learn about other booktubers when they do tags, so I enjoy watching those. I also enjoy watching reading wrap-ups when the booktuber talks about some other aspects of their life. I like to hear things, I like to hear about their interests and things they do besides books. The third prompt is, what is your least favorite kind of booktube video to watch and why? That is any video where a booktuber says somebody should or must read a genre or a book, or shouldn't read a genre or a book. Basically any video where someone tries to tell someone what they should or shouldn't do. And I would even include where somebody says you shouldn't read a specific author because, say, they've done something disturbing, even if it's something serious. It's fine for people to choose not to read that person, but to tell others not to do it, I don't agree with. I just don't like when people say you must or should do anything, really. Unless it's something you shouldn't break a crime or something like that. But I just, it gets my back up when somebody says you should or must read or book or a genre, or don't do it, you shouldn't do it. It gets my back up. The fourth prompt is, what is a favorite book about books or reading? Can be fiction and nonfiction. I'm going to pick The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This is a fantasy where two factions were fighting for the control of stories. The fifth prompt is, what is a favorite book that was not either what is a favorite book that is not from either your own country or the USA or the UK, that is the rest of the world? I'm going to pick The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Irakawa with Peter Gabriel translator, originally published in Japanese. Stars a cat who can understand human language. Talks about a lot of things. Quite an interesting book. The sixth prompt is, what classic literature book did you enjoy reading the most, if any? Can't really answer the most. I can never answer the most in these questions. And I also don't want to repeat anything I said in this tag or the previous tag. So the book I'm choosing is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Read it twice in recent years, really liked it. The seventh prompt is, what deciding non-classic book did you enjoy reading the most? Not limits. Again, I can't say the most, but a book I enjoyed reading a lot is I Kiss Share Wheeler by Casey McQuiston, read in 2022. It's a YA sapphic romance, coming of age, very interesting, fun book. The eighth prompt is, if you had to pick a life partner, any gender, from literature, who would you pick and why? Time travel permitted. I'm going to pick Kirsten Ramon of Station 11 by Emily St. John. This is a apocalyptic dystopian novel. Basically, a virulent flu kills off most of the world's population, and then part of the story is told 20 years in the future. Kirsten Ramon is an actor. She's a part of a traveling troupe that travels over the area they are to give plays, musicals. There's actors and musicians. And she's my choice simply because she's artistic, because she's an actor, but she's also a badass. She's had to kill a few people. When they do that, they get tattooed for each kill. So she's not someone who would back down anybody. And for my life partner, I want somebody who be strong and didn't want to be subordinate to anybody. So I think she'd be a good choice. I will say this, though, that this question is kind of not too far away from the crush question that I struggle with on when that question is asked, and I had the same struggles here, but I did decide to pick somebody. I kind of have to age myself down, too, to make it work, but we could do that. The ninth prompt is, what author, living or dead, would you choose to write your life story? It can be a novel or biography. I'm going to pick T. Kingfisher. She is able to write a variety of books. She's also able to write characters that are real. They're not necessarily like superheroes. They can be awkward. She also has written scientists. I've only read 3 of her books, but she did a good job writing a scientist. Possibly 2. I can't remember if there's scientists in 2 of the books I read, and they just come off as real. So I guess I'd pick her, because my life, I've enjoyed my life, but it's not exactly the most wildly exciting life. So I need somebody. She'd write a novel that is kind of based upon my normal life, but do something a little bit like the characters in her book, encounter some difficult situations, but she writes, it's believable the way she writes me and the things that I'm doing. I did look at the memoirs, autobiographies I've read, but none of those authors stood out to me as somebody I want to write the novel about me, novelization of my life. The 10th prompt is, choose 5 authors, living or dead, to join you in a Booktube live stream chat about books and reading. One author leaped to mind immediately for this prompt, and that's Ali Hazelwood. And that's because I've seen 2 or maybe 3 of virtual events she took part in. She's very engaging. She's very funny. You can tell she's very outgoing, which isn't going to be the case with a lot of authors. She's also, in addition to being a very popular, spicy romance writer, she's also a scientist. She's published professional papers. I'm not sure what her background is. Decided to actually look what Ali Hazelwood's background is. But it says she's a neuroscience professor based in the United States, although she is Italian. She was born and raised in Italy and lived in Japan and Germany before moving to the United States to pursue her PhD in neuroscience. During her graduate study, Hazelwood researched brain stimulation and cognitive neuroscience. So So she does have that scientific background. So in addition to being outgoing and engaging, it'd be interesting to discuss those aspects of her life too. And really how she came to go from that. Obviously to get a PhD, you have to do a lot of work, and to go from that to writing romance novels and being very popular at doing it. Then next author I pick is Anne Rice, because I'd like to talk to her. I'd like to learn more about her books process, also how she moved away from Christianity and moved back into it, how that influenced her books. I'd pick Stephen King because he's very prolific and he's written a wide range of genres. It'd be interesting to talk to him how he manages that. I picked Taylor Jenkins Reid because she is able to write widely different books, and I'd be interested in talking to her about that. Now, the last three, Rice, King, and Taylor Jenkins Reid, it's possible that they may be introverts, they may not be super comfortable in that type of situation. So for the final one, I'm going to pick Ali Wong. She actually only published one book, but that does make her a published author, and she's much more noted as being a comedian. One of only two comedians I actually specifically went to see. So she and Ali Hazelwood could maybe help if the conversation flags, and she could crack some jokes that hopefully we would all find funny. So those are the five I'm going to pick. Now, as far as tagging people, first I'm going to tag anyone watching this video. I'm also going to tag a bunch of people in my comments. If you'd like to answer one or more of the prompts in my comments or in a video of your own, please do so. If you can't think of anything else you'd like to comment, please add an emoji of your choice. I hope you're having a wonderful reading week. I hope you're having a wonderful week in general. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, please subscribe. Please hit the bell to get notified when I upload future videos.